Welcome to the second night solution, and let's start with problem number 3 with the system. Margie is responsible for buying a week's supply of food and medication for the dogs and cats at a local shelter. The food and medication for each dog cost twice as much as those supplies for a cat. She needs to feed 164 cats and 24 dogs. Her budget is 4,240. How much can Margie spend on each dog for food and medication? So, a couple of things that you have to make sure that you understand. And let's go ahead and go full screen for this. We know for a fact that we already know how many of each type of animal that we have, okay? And we also know a total budget, okay? And we need to finalize by knowing how much we're going to spend on food and medication. Now, this is a trick question because one of the things that we need to understand is it really doesn't matter. Food and medication aren't done. Okay? They aren't done separately, okay? So let's let D equal the cost per dog and C equal the cost per cat. Oops, cost per cat. How's that sound? Okay, that might help out just a little bit because we know that whatever I spend on a dog, I'm going to have to multiply by 24. And whatever I spend on a cat, I'm going to have to multiply by 164. And that's going to be a total of $4,240. Now, dogs cost twice as much as cats, okay? So dogs equal twice as much as cats. Those right there, ladies and gentlemen, are my two equations. And here is your solution, okay? So, can spend $20 on each cat and $40 on each dog. You can go ahead and pause this and take a look at what they did. In this case, they solved it by using substitution. All right, let's take a look at the ski clothing, made ski pants and ski jackets. Let's look at the most important information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a yellow highlighter for pants. Okay? We can make $2 on a pair of pants. Okay? And 60 minutes for sewing. And for sewing, it takes 8 minutes for a pair of ski pants. And then for cutting, it takes you 4 minutes for a pair of pants, okay? Now, let's use the green highlighter and see what else we can do on this. The profit for a jacket is $1.50. Out of that 60 minutes, you're going to take 4 minutes to sew one jacket, okay? Out of this 48 minutes, you're going to take 8 minutes on a jacket. So let's see how you did and see if you and I agree or disagree. All right? Well, of course, x is greater than or equal to 0, y is greater than or equal to 0 puts us in the first quadrant. Very good. 4x plus 8y is less than or equal to 48. How did Mrs. Rose get that? Okay, well, 48 is the cutter time, correct? Okay. And how are they going to spend their time cutting? 4 minutes per pants, that's 4x. 8 minutes per jacket, that's 8y. All right, so that should also help you with sewer's time. Sewer's time is 60 minutes. And on the sewing, you take 8 minutes for pants and 4 minutes for jackets. Okay? And then, of course, the function at xy would be 2x plus 1.5y. Hopefully you got that correct. Now let's move on to the next part. We have x is greater than or equal to 0, y is greater than or equal to 0, and then we have these two inequalities. But ladies and gentlemen, remember what we said about standard form? It's not standard form unless you remove the greatest common factor. That's right. So 4x plus 8y is less than or equal to 48 really does become this right here. X plus 2y is less than or equal to 12. And 8x plus 4y is less than or equal to 60 becomes 2x plus y is less than or equal to 15. So let's go ahead and do some graphing, shall we? Mrs. Rose is going to take her line tool, and the first thing that she's going to do is she's going to go ahead and mark so that she's in the first quadrant. And then, of course, she is going to have to slide that over ever so slightly. All right? So then let's take a look at this one right here. Let's take a look at x plus 2y less than or equal to 12. Well, Mrs. Rose, I know if I use standard form, that means that my x-intercept is 12, and my y-intercept is 6. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put a solid line there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my next one. And my next one says that 2x plus y is less than or equal to 15. And so Mrs. Rose is going to do the y. Okay? And then if I divide this by 2, it's going to go to 7.5. And 7.5 really isn't so very pretty. Okay? But we're going to go ahead and put it here so that hopefully we can come up with the best answer. And then we're going to go ahead and put our line just like that, okay? And then just to make sure, because Mrs. Rose is like, I'm not really crazy about this, let's subtract 2x from both sides, and then we would find out that its y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 15. And let's see if that'll change that ever so slightly. Well, no, because actually that's where we are, which makes Mrs. Rose a happy girl, okay? And so then, oh, look, I noticed there's my corner principle right here, okay? So what do I have for my corner points? I have 0, 0, and I have 0, 6, and I have 6, 1, 2, 3, 6, 3, and then I also have 7.5, 0. Okay, now, let's think about this for just a minute. Why is Mrs. Rose crossing this one out? Well, that's right, because you can't make a half a pair of pants, all right? And why is she crossing this one out? Well, because I want to make a profit. And also, I really should shade this in. So, I have two possible, oops, that was 0, 5, not 0, 0. There's also 0, 5, okay? So let's take a look at this. We're going to use f of x, y, is, what did we say again? Do you remember? 2x plus 1.5y. All right, so if that's 0 and this is 5, for this point right here, I get a total of 750. Not really fantastic. For this point right here, I get $9. Okay, and then for this point right here, well, 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 4.5, yay, there's our big winner, 16.5, all right? 16.5 is the maximized profit with what? That's right, 6 pairs of pants and 3 jackets. All right, hope you're having a great afternoon. See you tomorrow. Well, maybe Mrs. Rose will see you tomorrow. Let's see if we can get it to say done.